Have you ever noticed that sometimes, no matter how much you say you want to change, something deep inside resists? You plan, you set goals, you promise yourself you'll start tomorrow. And yet, the old habits quietly pull you back. It's not laziness. It's not lack of willpower. It's psychology. Your brain is wired to avoid one thing above all else: inconsistency. When your thoughts, beliefs, and actions don't match, your mind experiences something called cognitive dissonance, a deep, uncomfortable tension that demands resolution. It's the brain's way of saying, something doesn't add up. But what most people don't realize is that this discomfort, this psychological friction, is actually one of the most powerful tools you can use to transform your life. You can literally hack it to make your brain fall in love with growth. Here's how it works. Deep down, your brain's main job isn't to make you happy or successful. It's to keep your identity consistent. Whatever story you tell yourself about who you are, your brain will fight to protect that narrative, even if it hurts you. If you believe you're lazy, your brain will unconsciously resist anything that challenges that story. If you believe you're not confident, your actions will subtly reinforce that belief, no matter how much you try to fake it. This happens because of the dissonance between who you believe you are and what you do. The moment your behavior doesn't match your self-image, your brain panics and scrambles to restore balance, either by changing your behavior or by changing your belief. Most people choose the second option. They lower their goals to match their self-concept. They say, "I didn't really want that anyway." They rationalize, make excuses, and retreat into comfort. It feels safe, but it keeps them small. But here's the mind-bending part. You can reverse this mechanism. You can flip cognitive dissonance in your favor. Instead of letting it hold you back, you can use it to pull you forward. You can make your brain uncomfortable with staying the same. You can make inaction the painful choice and growth the natural relief. And once you do that, discipline stops feeling like effort. It becomes psychological alignment. Let's break it down. The first step is to define the identity you want to grow into, not the outcome, but the identity. Most people say, "I want to lose weight," or "I want to be confident," or "I want to be successful." But those are goals, not identities. The brain doesn't protect goals, it protects identities. If you say, "I'm trying to be confident," your brain still believes you're not confident yet, so it keeps you acting that way. Instead, you need to shift the internal narrative. Start saying, "I'm the kind of person who values growth," or "I'm the kind of person who keeps promises to myself." Those phrases create a new identity seed. Your brain starts forming connections that need to stay consistent with that statement. Every time you act in alignment with that identity, the belief strengthens. Every time you don't, your brain feels cognitive dissonance, and that discomfort pushes you back toward consistency. Suddenly, your mind starts wanting to behave like your ideal self, just to keep the story straight. The second step is exposure. You can't build a new identity in your head. You have to give your brain evidence. Take one small action that aligns with your new story, even if it feels unnatural at first. For example, if your new identity is, "I'm a disciplined person," do one disciplined thing today. Wake up on time. Go for a short walk. Finish one small task without distraction. When you do, your brain registers, "Wait, this doesn't match the old me." That discomfort triggers cognitive dissonance, but instead of running from it, embrace it. That unease is the signal that your brain is rewriting itself. The more consistent actions you take, the more your brain updates the story. Maybe this is who I am. The key is to make the new behavior frequent enough that the old story starts feeling inconsistent instead. You're flipping the mental script, making your old identity the uncomfortable one. Here's where it gets even more fascinating. Cognitive dissonance works like a psychological thermostat. Whatever belief feels more emotionally real, your brain will adjust your behavior to match. If your old identity feels stronger, you'll snap back to it under stress. But if you keep feeding your new identity with daily proof, even tiny actions, it slowly becomes the new baseline. This is why affirmations often fail. They try to force belief without evidence. The brain rejects them as lies. But when your behavior leads, your belief follows. The action plants the seed, and the mind rewires itself to remove the tension. It's not about pretending you're different. It's about giving your brain a reason to believe you already are. There's also a deeper emotional layer here. Cognitive dissonance is uncomfortable because it threatens psychological safety. Changing identity feels like death to the ego. Your brain has spent years building neural networks that define who you are. Changing that feels like stepping into the unknown. That's why personal growth triggers fear, resistance, and even physical tension. You're not just breaking habits, you're breaking identity loops. The way to move through this isn't to fight the discomfort, but to use it as guidance. When you feel that tension, that voice saying, "This isn't you," smile. That's proof that change is happening. That's your brain's alarm system reacting to expansion. Growth should feel awkward. That's how you know you're not repeating the past. The third step is reinforcement. The brain doesn't care about what's true, it cares about what's repeated. The more you repeat an identity statement and back it with small, consistent actions, the faster your subconscious accepts it as reality. Neuroplasticity studies show that every repeated thought literally strengthens synaptic pathways. Each time you act like your future self, even in micro moments, you're carving that version of you into your brain's wiring. It's like building muscle. Repetition is everything. And the more neural weight your new identity carries, the more natural it feels. Eventually it flips. The old version starts feeling foreign. You'll notice moments when you hesitate to procrastinate or doubt yourself, and something inside says, "That's not me anymore." That's not motivation, that's cognitive alignment. Your brain has switched allegiance. Now here's where the real hack begins. Most people try to create motivation by convincing themselves that growth feels good. But real change doesn't start with pleasure. It starts with discomfort. The secret is to associate pain with staying the same and relief with progress. Every time you avoid a challenge, notice how heavy it feels, how much energy you waste thinking about what you didn't do. That's dissonance in action. The brain hates unresolved tension. If you train yourself to feel that tension consciously and frame it as the cost of not growing, you make inaction unbearable. Then, when you take even a small step forward, your brain releases dopamine, not because you achieved something huge, but because you resolved the internal inconsistency. That's how you make growth addictive. You're not chasing motivation anymore. You're chasing harmony. The fourth and final step is identity protection. Once your brain adopts a new self-image, it will defend it as fiercely as it defended the old one. That's why the first few weeks of transformation feel hard. Your old identity is fighting for survival. But once the new one takes hold, the same mechanism that used to trap you will now liberate you. You'll start feeling cognitive dissonance whenever you act below your standards instead of above them. You'll feel uneasy skipping the gym, avoiding hard work, or settling for less. That discomfort becomes your internal compass, pulling you back to alignment. Growth stops being effort. It becomes self-maintenance. You're not forcing yourself to evolve anymore. Your identity demands it. Think about it. Every major transformation in human history started with a contradiction, a moment when someone said, "The person I am no longer fits the person I want to be." That's cognitive dissonance in its rawest form. It's the crack in the identity that lets evolution in. So stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting to feel ready. The tension you feel between your current self and your potential self is not the enemy, it's the signal. It means your brain has already seen a higher version of you and can't go back to pretending it doesn't exist. Your only job is to feed that version with action until the rest of you catches up. You can't think your way into a new identity. You act your way there. The thoughts will follow. The feelings will follow. The consistency will follow. And one day, you'll look back and realize that the old version of you feels like a distant memory. Someone you outgrew. Not because of willpower, but because of psychological design. You didn't just build habits, you rewired your sense of self. That's the power of cognitive dissonance. It's not just a flaw in the brain, it's the mind's greatest leverage point. The same discomfort that once kept you stuck can become the force that keeps you growing. So next time you feel resistance, that inner tug of "this isn't me," don't retreat. Smile. You're witnessing the conflict between who you were and who you're becoming. That's the sound of evolution. Use it. Amplify it. Feed it with every aligned action. Because if you keep showing up as your future self long enough, your brain will stop arguing. It will accept the new story, And once it does, the transformation becomes permanent. That's not motivation. That's neuropsychological inevitability. That's the real hack, to make your brain fall in love with growth by making anything less feel out of character. When that happens, discipline becomes identity, and your future stops being a dream, it becomes your default.